It's 11 days to election 2020. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News.
We'll be burying 5 at a go. We're going to bury more. We only want to elect the public. The COVID is real, and therefore protect yourself. Observe the national protocol measures to protect yourself, protect your family.
COVID-19 still exists. Remember to always wear your face mask. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios here in Kukumlimle. It's a digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country, including A1 Radio in Bolgatanga, Jubilee FM in Keta. We are around the world at myjoyonline.com. In this edition, NPP to win 2020 presidential polls. Latest research by the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana shows.
So 51.7 for MPP and Akufo-Addo, 40.4 for NDC and Mahama, and the rest 1.4, 0.8, 0.2,
We have details plus reaction coming up. Also, be fair and firm on election day. IGP urges police as thousands of his men embark on peace march in cities and towns across the country. President Akufo-Addo also meets Ghana's clergy to raise funds for the construction of the National Cathedral.
I've been called a lot of names for this idea, but I've remained indifferent and completely oblivious to it because I have no shame at all in stating that I am a Christian in politics and therefore have no hesitation in supporting this thing.
We'll catch him on the campaign trail as he and his opponent John Mahama trade words on separate campaign platforms.
We have no record to defend. That's why it's a series of promises and of lies. And that campaign is crumbling by the day.
This is the greatest political sakawa that has ever happened in the history of Ghana.
We have sports.
Tributes continue to pour in as sporting world mourns football great Diego Armando Maradona.
And from torture to sexual assault, police in the Ashanti region reveal up to 14 children are abused annually in the region.
Got angry. He mistook me for his granddaughter and hit me with a cutlass.
We have that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. Please stay for details. We start out this afternoon from the election headquarters, brought to you by Petrosol, clean fuel, full quantity. And the NPP will win the 2020 presidential election. This is according to a research conducted by the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana. According to Mr. Ketro Duku Frimpong, who presented the findings of the department, the research conducted between 12th and 22nd November this year showed that 51.7% of the respondents said they would vote for the incumbent President Akufo-Addo, whilst 40.4% said they will vote for John Mahama of the NDC. Let's listen to the researcher himself presenting the findings. According to the researchers, 80.9% of respondents say they have finalized their decision.
We went on further to ask for whom would you vote in the presidential elections, and it followed a similar pattern. These voters have taken a firm decision to vote for those candidates in the election, the candidates that they say they will vote for. We asked them, how sure are you? 80.9% are the candidates that we have decided to vote for. So, very few are going to change. So, 51.7 for MPP and Akufo-Addo, 40.4 for NDC and Mahama, and the rest 1.4, 0.8, 0.2, 0.2 somewhere. And for independents, 0.
Well, that's Ketre Frimpong Duku. That's Mr. Ketre Duku Frimpong. He's with the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, delivering findings of their research earlier today. So in the parliamentary election too, the research showed that 50.2% of respondents will vote for NPP parliamentary candidates, whilst 41.3% said they will vote for the NDC parliamentary candidate. So Joy News reporter Kweku Asante is at that news conference for us. He joins us on the line with more. I'm curious, Kweku, give us other details that they put out according to this research they conducted.
Well, so Emefa, I actually have here one of the researchers of this project, and they've actually been giving some numbers in terms of the people they use for the research, and you can speak to that. So, what is the kind of people you use for which someone cannot say that these numbers are skewed towards the end?
The kind of people in terms of the respondents. All right. Okay. So we actually selected electoral areas in all the 100 constituencies that we studied. We look at the electoral areas that have at least 4 polling stations. All right. So we did in the various polling stations that were selected. So we did random sampling to select the polling station from the pool, and then so we interviewed 6 people from a particular polling station area, or polling station, right? And then we use the household system of the selection. So we, in a particular house, we identify the various households, and then we randomly select one household. But because we are looking for Ghanaian registered voters, so we identify who were registered, and then we did sampling to pick a respondent from that. So largely we interviewed registered voters.
And so these voters, as your research showed, majority of the 51% plus are saying that they're going to vote for the NPP because of free seats among other things.
Well said. So these are some of the issues that emerged from the report. Okay, so there were other issues that were asked, and then majority of them are saying that's about the number you have mentioned from the findings that are going to vote for the NPP. But don't forget that in the presentation of the findings, they made it clear. Okay, looking at the selection of the various constituencies. Okay, so you realize that you have 63 of the seats are presently being occupied by the NPP and 37 by the NDC. All right, so that will make it the 100%. Okay, so when you are looking at the results, you look at it from various perspectives. Okay, so basically that is that. So from the 100 constituencies that we have studied, and that's about 51 point, about 50.7 said that they were voting for the MPP, and 40.2 was voting for FPP. All right. So basically,
100 constituencies that you use, how reflective of will that be of 275 constituencies?
For in terms of that, and that is about 36%. Okay. So basically, any researcher will tell you that is enough to make any judgment or to make any analysis based on this. So 100 is even higher. All right. It's even higher.
You say that the people who may be willing to change their mind before the election because there's a little over 10 days to the election, or this is cast in stone?
Well, it depends. Okay, it depends. Some people, depending upon what the person actually want to, why the person want to vote for a particular party. So for some people, there's nothing that you can do. They're going to vote for whichever party they want to vote for. All right. And in the presentation, he made it clear that there were some undecided voters. They'll be voting, but they have not decided as to whether they're going to vote for party A or party B. Right. So basically, it depends.
Well, so you have there Dr. Jalilu Ateku, who is a member of the research team at the University of Ghana Political Science Department, putting out their findings today that 51.7% of respondents they drawn from the 275 constituencies in the country said they will vote for the incumbent president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, whilst 40.4% says they will vote for John Mahama of the NDC. Or at the parliamentary level, also the research showed that 50.2% of respondents will vote for NPP parliamentary candidates, while 41.3% says they will vote for NDC parliamentary candidates. Subsequently, we'll get reactions of this latest findings from the University of Ghana Political Science Department. This is your election headquarters. And this time, the Inspector General of Police, James Opombwenu, has urged his men to be firm and ensure order during this year's elections on the major streets in cities and towns throughout the country today. Thousands of members of the security agencies, including the police and military, poured out on a peace march. The IGP says the march was not to intimidate the public, but to reassure them.
We are doing our duty. This march is not meant to intimidate anybody, but it is to show everybody that we are prepared to protect all the citizens, all the residents, and also to protect the ballot. What we expect is for you to be professional, to attend to your duties, but be sure that you are fair. You should not be intimidated by anybody, just as you are not going to intimidate anybody. And therefore we expect that at the end of the day, like we have done before, we are capable of policing this election. And therefore I urge all of you to put in your best. And thank you for your attention.
IGP James Opombwenu there speaking here in Accra. In the Ashanti regional capital of Kumasi, the Regional Security Council is reassigning personnel closer to their polling stations for special voting. Police Commander COP Akwesi Mensah Duku says the new arrangement will not affect security at the polling stations. Let's speak to Nanaya Ojima, who is with the police, for more. So how did the names get missing? Did he explain?
Everybody is going to vote. The only thing is that
this march is not meant to intimidate anybody, but it is to show everybody that we are prepared to protect all the citizens, all the residents, and also to protect the ballot.
everybody is going to vote. The only thing is that the special voting day, they may not get the chance to vote. But on the D-Day, the 7th December, they will go early and vote. The arrangement that we made is that all those who are posted outside Greater Kumasi, we are going to bring all of them back to the city. Find a duty place for them. Then we send some people from the city, those who are not affected, to go, will go and then replace them so that they will get chance in the morning to go and vote early morning. And then from there, they will go to their duty points.
Well, let's speak now to my colleague Nanaya Ojima. And I was asking earlier about how these names got missing. Did they explain to the personnel? And of course, you can bring us up to speed on the march in the region as well.
So the regional police commander will not let out more on how these names got missing in the special voting register. But what he assured the personnel is that whatever be the case, none of them will be disenfranchised in the upcoming elections. And he also told the personnel that the police are working with the Electoral Commission to ensure that these anomalies are corrected ahead of the elections. So he also told the police to give out their best and also ensure that they discharge their duties on election day without any favoritism on that day. So he is assuring the public that whatever be the case, the right things will be done.
And that's my colleague Nanaya Ojima reporting from the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. And as elections approach, of course, calls for peace are everywhere. At a Juraseche Dumasi in the Ashanti region, some young men and women are speaking out against exploitation by politicians who use them to create chaos during elections. Inshira FM's Malik Awuku filed this report for the Joy News series on Safety for My Vote.
Leader of the youth group, Abubakar Sadiq, said they are moving from door to door, involving information centers and community-based radio stations to campaign for peace. They're also feeding the police with viable information for prompt action.
We as young people are very worried whenever the name of our constituency gets in the news for bad reasons. In supporting the police, our utmost responsibility has to do with providing them with a lot of information.
Some 50 flash points have been identified in the Juraseche Dumasi constituency in the run-up to the December 7 election. Speaking on behalf of the Traditional Council, Nana Kwajo said there have been several meetings with the police police, political leaders, and other stakeholders.
I'm happy it's being organized by the youth. You don't expect that I will carry a machete or a stone. It is the youth who are going to be organized. They should stay calm, exercise their responsibilities, but please, devoid of violence and insults.
Meanwhile, the police say security has been beefed up in the area ahead of the December polls. Municipal Police Commander DSP Philip Kojo Hammond says other exercises are ongoing to allay fears.
Because it's a flashpoint, we are firmly on the ground, together with the sister security services like prisons, fire, immigration, customs, and then military. They are going to augment our strength so that we'll be able to face the task ahead of us.
The Adjusted Dumasi seat is among 3 constituencies in the Ashanti region currently occupied by the opposition NDC. The others are Sawase and Setra Front Plains.
This is your election headquarters brought to you by Petrosol, clean fuel, full quantity. Now, President Akufo-Addo says he's optimistic of victory in the upcoming general elections, wrapping up his Greater Accra regional tour with a rally at East Legon in the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. The president charged sympathizers of the NPP, especially in the region, to ensure the party achieves the target of winning 28 out of the 33 seats in parliament.
Hey Ramahama, one beye bibi titrubia magana for anutina Ghana for pamo ya ayasa you have no record to defend. That's why it's a series of promises and of lies, campaign of fabrication, misrepresentations, and outright lies. And that campaign is crumbling by the day into confusion and failure as you're staring defeat in your face today in Ghana. Yeah, now say, I say senior high school, no, I don't know the buy.
It is disheartening to hear the former president claim he started the free SHS policy.
And yet, so my penny dada, the castle they are thrown in dada and the baby free casino. You remember the point?
We don't govern with lies, so let's not give him the power.
On one who said the campaign no and call baby.
President Akufo-Addo there speaking at the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. Let's speak to our presidential affairs correspondent, Elton Brobe. So the president is heading towards the central region, but we are told he met with some clergymen at the launch of a short code to ensure continuous contribution to the construction of the National Cathedral. Tell us more about that.
So, according to the Board of Trustees, they've done a lot of fundraising and they have enough funds to start construction of the National Cathedral. But they still need more. That's how come they launched this short code last night, to encourage Ghanaians to donate towards the construction of this National Cathedral. President Akufo-Addo, whose initiative is it for the National Cathedral to be constructed, said that he is unashamed to say that he is a politician but a Christian and that he will do all that he can to ensure that the building is up.
I've been called a lot of names for this idea, but I've remained indifferent and completely oblivious to it because I have no shame at all in stating that I am a Christian in politics and therefore have no hesitation in supporting this thing. From the update that I've heard, the original simple naive idea that I had has been transformed into a truly religious tour de force. Bible museum, biblical gardens, biblical restaurants with biblical menus. It's wonderful. And finally, I want to pray fervently that the new virus that has been revealed to all of us, the spiritual virus, will indeed infect all of us and make it possible to make this project a reality. *979#, the virus.
Off to the camp of the NDC now, where presidential candidate John Mahama says governing NPP is the greatest political sakawa or fraud that has ever happened in the history of Ghana. Speaking during one of his campaign tours he started, the NPP made members of the NDC appear like demons, but now the party has turned Ghana into what he describes as a hellhole with no signs of economic prosperity.
A recent opinion poll that was done says that 60% of Ghanaians say that their life is worse today than it was in 2016. And obviously it will be, because this is the greatest political sakawa that has ever happened in the history of Ghana. because Ghanaians were made to believe and to see the NDC government as incompetent, as demons, as evil, as everything, and that these were a group of saints and angels who had just descended from heaven, who were going to change everything in Ghana and make Ghana a paradise. Instead, they have turned Ghana into a hellhole. What happened to all the promises?
The NDC presidential candidate John Mahama toured the northeast region overnight as he tried to woo electorates in that region. We are told he also headed to the Savannah region. Maxwell Agbagba is with a campaign team as they visited some hard-to-reach areas Wednesday afternoon, night, and Thursday dawn. Maxwell, where is the team now as we speak, and what has Mr. Mahama been saying?
Well, the team just set off to its first destination here in the northern region. It set off about 30 minutes ago. But the NDC presidential candidate spent the night visiting communities in the Yakba, Kubori, Nalerugu, Gambaga, and more constituencies. These are hard-to-reach areas, so it took him many hours to get there. The terrain was quite rough, and so for about 2 hours, 30 minutes, they drove on tarred, undulating, and dusty roads as they moved. The dust covered the windscreen, making visibility very poor, but they endured and managed to get to those communities. Now, this dawn at 5:30 a.m., hundreds of residents waited at the Tamale Airport Junction for the NDC presidential candidate, most of them on motorbikes and some of them seated in what is commonly known as Mahama Kambu.
And that's my colleague Maxwell Agbagba, currently with the campaign team of former President John Dramani Mahama. This is your election headquarters, brought to you by Petrosol. Clean fuel, full quantity. We'll go for a quick break. We'll head back to the election headquarters shortly. But our top stories in this edition: NPP to win 2020 presidential election. Latest research by the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana has showed. Also, when we return, we have sports, and from torture to sexual assault, police in the Ashanti region review up to 14 children are abused annually in the region.
Got angry. He mistook me for his granddaughter and hit me with a cutlass.
Fellow Ghanaians, the stakes are high for our country this December. Don't stay home.
Remember, this election is about your future. Which of the candidates would you trust with managing our economy better? Which leader can give us free SHS and enhance the education of our children? Who can you trust to protect us during dark periods such as COVID-19? Who has the competence to protect our economy, build roads and dams?
Do you remember the dark periods of Doomsaw, Create, Loot and Share Brigade?
This December, remember, we cannot afford the risk. Let's vote for Nana Ekufuado and the NPP to protect our progress.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Time for sports. Hansman Sado, seated comfortably. What's in sports?
I mean, it's all about Diego Armando Maradona. And one of the foreign tabloids had a headline, "God is dead." And indeed, a football god has passed on. Thousands of fans are paying their final respect to Argentine football legend Diego Maradona at the Presidential Palace in Buenos Aires. 3 days of national mourning have begun in Argentina after Maradona, a national hero, died following a heart attack on Wednesday at the age of 60. Some wept, others blew kisses and said prayers as he filed past the coffin being displayed at the Casa Rosada. 1 million people are expected to visit his casket. Here is the BBC's John Bennett with a compilation of what some of football's greats have been saying about Diego Maradona.
When it comes to player in the world, the debate is often between Maradona and Pelé, and fittingly it was the Brazil legend Pelé who led the tributes, writing on Twitter, "What sad news, I lost a great friend and the world lost a legend. There is still much to be said, but for now, may God give strength to family members. One day I hope we can play ball together in the sky." The current Argentina and Barcelona star, Lionel Messi, arguably the best player in the world right now, is often compared to Maradona. He has said a very sad day for all. He leaves us, but does not leave, because Diego is eternal. Another current great, Cristiano Ronaldo, the Juventus and Portugal forward, has said, I bid farewell to a friend, and the world bids farewell to an eternal genius. And Napoli, the club Maradona turned into Italian champions, that they've paid tribute as well. Always in our hearts, ciao Diego. The world awaits our words, but there are no words to describe the pain we're going through. Now is a time to grieve.
Diego Armando Maradona, we say may his soul rest in perfect peace. That's your sport.
Thank you very much, Hans. Now, an average of 10 children are abused annually in the Efija-Setre South District in the Ashanti region. According to the Police Domestic Violence Support Unit at Aguna, children are often subjected to physical and sexual abuse and neglect, sometimes by their own parents. In Shira FM's Obidishie Ofori Amanfo visits Apa and now reports.
Every year, about 95 million children experience abuse globally. The highest rates are reported in the African region, according to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. In Ghana, instances of child abuse are often buried under certain religious, traditional and cultural beliefs and practices. In Asante Apa, Dovsu recently investigated an incident of 3 children below 8 years subjected to physical abuse.
My
mother told me to hold my sister, and she fell when I tried to put her on my lap. She pushed me outside, and my head was hit against the showcase.
My sibling lost money, and she thought I had stolen it. She beat me and dipped my hands in fire.
2 were abused by their parents, and 3rd child was hit with a cutlass by an angry neighbor.
The man sent his granddaughter to sell cassava, and the granddaughter refused, and he got angry. He mistook me for his granddaughter and hit me with a cutlass.
When these cases are reported or happen to your children, don't cover. When we report, we have means of helping you.
The Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit at Aguna wants parents to be wary of acts that expose children to abuse. Inspector Rosemary Abeka is in charge of Dovsu in the Efija-Setre South District.
In a year, normally I have about 10 to 14 cases. So I advise the parents that we should be a bit patient in dealing with their children, other than taking the law into your hands and then attacking them physically.
The Apa Emmanuel Child and Youth Development Organization is spearheading a child protection awareness campaign on the theme, A Safe Child, A Bright Future. Minister in charge of the Emmanuel Presbyterian Church at Apa, Reverend George Ayam, said the program has the goal of creating awareness of child abuse and its consequences.
If somebody takes the law into his or her own hands and abuse any child, the law will take its course and the person will not find him or herself free. So they have to be aware so that they don't venture or they don't try abusing any child.
That's Shira FM's Obidishie Ofori Amanfo's report there from the Ashanti region. Now, NIT Open Labs Robotic Lab, Suliotech, has invented what it calls Ghana's first smart farm. Officials of the laboratory say this is a major technological innovation created to solve the problems of irrigation, lighting, and intruding. On Tech Thursday, we'll take you to NIT. Listen.
At an exhibition, the public relations officer of Suliotech, Jane Love, demonstrated how the prototype works.
So actually, we have what we call moisture sensors that are inside the soil. Of course, this is a prototype, so it's tiny, but there are larger moisture sensors in real life you can use. They are inside the soil, regulating the moisture in the soil. So each plot of plant has its own moisture sensor. For the intruder, we have a PIR, infrared detector. What it does, it detects living things that approach your farm.
President of the club, Bajam Fesi, explained how robotics can go a long way to solve the problems of flooding and fire outbreaks, which have been some of Ghana's biggest problems.
Other things as well, like flood detectors. We know that nowadays climate change, there's a disturbance. Sometimes it rains a lot. Sometimes it rains lesser. So we can at least be able to place sensors where to indicate that, okay, the level of the water is going up, there will be a risk of flooding.
That's our Tech Thursday for today, brought to you by Judith Awotre Tando. It's time for Showbiz, and
Yes,
Becky
Emefa.
with the good hair is here.
Good
Miss
news
you.
for the creative arts industry. Government says that it will, before the end of this year, launch the Creative Arts and Industry Insurance Scheme. This is according to the Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. Speaking at the Meet the Press series in Accra, she indicated the initiative is to provide support for the industry players in case of crisis.
Most creative arts practitioners are not covered by any risk mitigation measures during critical times. The Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture is spearheading the development and introduction of a creative arts insurance scheme for the creative industry. The Creative Arts Insurance Scheme is intended to achieve the following: to provide an insurance scheme appropriately tailored to the needs of creative artists and performers in the creative arts industry, provide life insurance or similar investment products for creative arts sector players, and also provide bespoke creative arts industry insurance products and cover for personal injury, damage, and theft.
That's Minister for the Creative Arts Industry, Barbara Otinjesi Emefa.
Thank you very much, Becky. And that's it for the Midday News. Our top stories. Latest polls by the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana projects a win for President Akufo-Addo and the NPP. More on myjoyonline.com. Habits with Pastor Mensa Otabil is up next. I am